Hey you, and welcome to lesson 24. Today we are gonna learn what are syllables and how to count them, because this is important in today's lesson, which will talk about comparative and superlative adjectives. So, are you ready? Let's get to it. So today we have an important lesson. It is about comparative and superlative adjectives. Before we get into our lesson though, we need to talk about syllables. You need to know what are syllables and how to count them before we can get into today's lesson. So basically a syllable is a unit of sound. Okay, let's change this color. Okay, so a syllable is a unit of sound. Whoops. That creates meaning in language. Consonants join vowels to create syllables. Okay, what does that mean? A syllable is one unit in sound, and it is it's one part of the word. Like for example, if I say word, that is one syllable because it has only one part, world. Now if I say shopping, that is two parts, that means it's two syllables, two units. Okay, if I say knowledge, that's two parts, that means it's two syllables. So basically a syllable is how many parts are there when you say the word, or how many pauses are there when you say the word. How many times do you pause? Follow, that's two syllables. Pretend, how many syllables is that? Pretend, two syllables. So and so on. You need to count the number of pauses, or how many parts are in the word when you say phrase, that's one syllable. Phrase, many, that's one syllable. So that is how you count syllables. You need to be able to count syllables. We have, all right, let's take a look here at today's lesson. Syllables cannot have more than one sound. Okay, so if you have one syllable, that means it has one sound. Syllables can have more than one consonant and more than one vowel as well. So the word can have more than one consonant and one vowel and could still be one syllable. Or it could be more. It doesn't matter. All it matters is when you say it, how many parts of the words are there? How many pauses do you make? Do you say it at once or do you pause? You know, interesting, that's three syllables. So the number of pauses, the parts of the word. Okay, some words have one syllable, and some words have two, some words have three, four. Okay, let's take a look. Rule number one for syllable. Every syllable has one vowel sound. Every syllable has one vowel sound. So, rule number two, the number of vowel sounds in a word equals the number of syllables. The number of vowel sounds. Like if you say interesting. The first one has the I sound, which is E, in. The second syllable, res, it has the E sound, the E vowel sound. Ting, again, it has the I sound. Interesting has three vowel sounds, three syllables. Home, that's one syllable, it has an O sound. O, home. Subject, that's two syllables. It has two vowel sounds. Which is you, subject, which is E, act. Publishing, that's three syllable, three vowel sound. First vowel sound is you, publish, it has an I vowel sound, which is ing, publishing. The third vowel sound is also I, ing. So three vowel sounds. 3 syllables. Rule number 3, one syllable words is never divided because it's only one syllable. It means it has one part. There are no divisions because there's only one part, like stop, stop. Only one part, one vowel, which is the O. Stop. Feet, feet, feet. That is one vowel sound, which is the E. Actually, what is that? That's so small. Is that feet or feel? It doesn't matter. They're both same. Feel or feet. They're both one syllable, one vowel sound, which is the E. Feet, feel. It's the long E sound. Eel, feel, feet. All right, next one is bell. Also one vowel sound, which is the short vowel E. Okay, now let's talk about comparative and superlative. After we have talked about this, after about now we understand what syllables are and how to count them. Now let's talk about comparative adjectives. Comparative adjectives are basically, we use comparative adjectives form to show the difference between two objects. So what does that mean? If we compare two things, if we have two objects and we are comparing them, or two people, or any two objects that we are comparing, we're showing the difference between them. Let's take a look. New York is bigger than Seattle. New York is bigger than Seattle. So here we compare New York and Seattle, and we're stating that New York is bigger. So the first comparative adjective is ER, okay? We add ER when we're comparing two adjectives. His car is faster than dogs. Mary is happier than Anna. So ER, adjective, it means something is bigger, better, smaller, softer, cooler. Two objects being compared. All right. Subrelative adjectives are used to compare more than two things. If we compare more than two things, we use a subrelative adjective. Subrelative adjectives are just here, as here is ER, here is EST. Okay, let's take a look. The cat is faster than the mouse, but the cheetah is the fastest. I am taller than my brother, but my cousin is the tallest in the family. So here we're comparing more than two things, and we're saying one is the biggest or more than the other two. So the one that is highlighted in yellow is the superlative, and the one that is highlighted in blue is a comparative. So taller is a comparative, faster is a comparative. It ends in ER, as you see, and tallest and fastest are the superlatives, and they end in, I'm just making a mess here. All right, let me try better. So we have this guy, and these both end with EST. All right, okay. Also, they are used to describe an object which is at the upper or lower limit of a quality. We're still talking about superlative, EST. Okay, so here we're still talking about EST, superlative adjectives. What does that mean? To show that something is at the upper or the lowest quality, at the upper or lower limit of quality. That means the absolute best quality or the absolute worst quality. All right, let's see. It was the happiest day of my life. Everest is the highest mountain in the world. I don't think it is. Google it. That's the best film I've seen this year. I have three sisters. Jan is the oldest. Angela is the youngest. So this is the happiest. It was the happiest day of my life is to show the highest or the upper point. Okay, this is the worst day of my life is to show the worst, the lowest point. The best film, the highest mountain, the oldest in the family, the youngest in the family is to show the upper and the lower limit, either of quality or in age or whatever it is. Okay, let's see how to form a comparative and superlative adjectives. One syllable adjectives, we add er. If it's a one syllable adjective, we just add er to the adjective to make it a superlative adjective, to make it a comparative adjective, sorry. So old, older, long, longer. And to make it a superlative, we just add est, est. This is for one syllable adjectives. Now, what if the adjective has more than one syllable? Okay, let's talk if the adjective ends in e first. If the adjective ends in e, we just add r or st. We don't need to add e again because we already have an e. So here there is in large already ends with an e, so we just add an r. And largest already ends, again, large ends with an e, so we just add st. Now, if the adjective ends in a vowel and a consonant, we double the consonant. Okay, like for example, big, bigger, fat, fatter, biggest, fattest. So if we have a vowel, so the last, before the last is a vowel, and the last letter is a consonant, we double the consonant, right? So big becomes bigger, fat becomes fatter. If the adjective ends in a consonant and y, just like happy, if the adjective ends with a consonant and y, the p is consonant and the y is a y. So what do? We remove the I completely. We remove it, we cross it out, and we replace it with IER. This is always the case with a Y. If the Y comes before a consonant, we always remove the Y and add IER, whether we're making it into plural or whether we're making a comparative adjective or a superlative adjective. We always delete the Y and add the I, and then ER, EST, or S in case of plurals. So again, if we have a consonant and a Y at the end of the word, we remove the Y and we add IER or IEST, depending on if we're making a comparative adjective or a superlative adjective. Okay, if we have a two-syllable adjective, two or more syllable adjective, see that's the whole reason we studied how to count syllables. If we have two or more syllables, then we don't add ER normally. We use more and most. Okay, for a comparative adjective, we use more. For superlative adjectives, we use most. So if we say careful, how many syllables is that? Careful, two syllables, two vowel sounds. Careful. So we have two syllables. We don't use carefuler or carefulest. It would just sound wrong because it is. We just say more careful or most careful. If we say interesting, we don't say interestinger or interestingest. We just say more interesting or most interesting. Okay, so with that in mind, there are still some exceptions. Okay, we don't always, English, there are always exceptions. We don't give you a rule and expect you to just follow it. We always must, mess with you a little. And this is how English is. So we said that if it's more than one syllable, we use more or most. But sometimes we can still use ER or EST with some adjectives, not all adjectives. Here is a list of adjectives that you can use either more and most or ER and EST with. Both are correct for these adjectives, not in general. So these are some exceptions. Common, we can say commoner, commonest, or more common, most common. Although it's a bit weird. Nobody says commonest. We just say the most common. So this one is a bit weird, but it would still be correct. Cruel, gentle, handsome, likely, narrow, pleasant, polite, simple, stupid. All those you can either use ER or EST with. You can also use more and most with. Like for example, gentle, gentler, gentlest, gentle, more gentle, most gentle. Or stupid, stupider, stupidest, more stupid, most stupid. All right, let's take a look at some example sentences. He is certainly handsomer than his brother. His brother is handsome, but he is more handsome. She is one of the politest people I have ever met. She is one of the politest people that I've ever met. She is the most polite person I have ever met. She is the most polite person I have ever met. Now, those are some irregular comparative and superlative adjectives. Good goes with better, best. So this is the adjective. This is the adjective, and this is the comparative. And this is the superlative. Okay? So, good, better, best. Bad, worse, worst. Far, farther, farthest. There is, you can either spell it with an A or a U, they're both correct. So, far, farther, farthest. Let's take a look at some examples. Today is the worst day Today is the worst day I've had in a long time. So here we used worst day instead of using the baddest. We don't say baddest, just wrong. Okay? There is no baddest in English. That word doesn't exist. You can play tennis better than I do. Okay? Not gooder. There is no gooder in English either. You can play tennis better than I do. I ran pretty far yesterday, but I ran even farther today. Farther, not farer. There is no farer. Farther. Farther, farthest. You live far, but I live farther. There is no farer. Okay? Keep that in mind. Comparative and the superlative. Than. Okay? We can use than to compare two things. Like Sarah is more intelligent than Peter. Danny is quicker than his brother. I have less free time than you do. Okay, so we use than when we are comparing two things. Using superlatives. Superlatives, usually you will use it with the. Okay, like that was the best holiday I have ever had. Or Paris is the most romantic city in Europe. Peter is the oldest in our group. You have the most beautiful eyes. We took the shortest route to the station. So we use the superlative with the. usually. Not 100%, but normally we do. Okay, to sum up, positive adjective, long, tall, smaller. Comparative adjectives, longer, taller, smaller. Superlative adjective, longest, smallest, tallest. That is for one syllable. Adjectives and opposites, hardworking, lazy. So we're done with the comparative and superlative adjectives. Now we're going to just take a look at some adjectives and opposites. Hardworking, the opposite of hardworking is lazy. Modern, traditional. New, old. Nice, nasty. Intelligent, stupid. Interesting, boring. Light, heavy. Polite, rude, or impolite. So this is it for today's lesson. I hope you learned a thing or two, and I'll see you in the next class.